Do you think that crypto is dead? Like, is this just another bear market like every other bear market? Or do you think that this one is like different?
But as soon as everyone says it's dead, that's actually when you should buy.
So let's pivot into the Clawdbot stuff, because to be honest, like no one even wants to hear about crypto anymore.
The next wave of crypto hype is this recombination of Clawdbot with some sort of, crypto rails.
First things first is crypto.
What is the price right now as we speak?
Don't even look at it.
I need to know.
Oh, I got it, man.
78,000 Bitcoin. Down from what was it, 85 yesterday?
I think it's gonna go down to like 72.
72 maybe and bounce.
Honestly, I think it's gonna go down to 69,000, and then everyone's gonna buy because it's 69.
Well, the all-time high of last time as well. Of the last bear market or the bull market.
Oh, 69. I guess, but anyways, yeah. So like we had a ton of people getting liquidated.
Mm-hmm.
The Garrett guy, the Chinese rich dude, he took on a confirmed, I think it was
like super unit or something
like that. Yeah. But he took on like a confirmed like $250 million loss, which is insane.
But also he started with billions. So I saw that too. I saw 250,000 or 250 million loss, but his original position was like 2 billion.
By the way, I think we need to like put our yeah, there you go. It's supposed to block each other, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
But anyway, so yeah, so he's like a $250 million loss, and okay, he started off with billions, but it doesn't matter. The fact that like he held on for so long through everything, and essentially pulled the James win, right? Brought it all the way back down and like panic sold at
I mean, I'm on board with that too. Like I thought that we were able to come back. Though, like I said before to you, like I think after this last crash, it's very, very unlikely that we can have some sort of like magical recovery. Like if we do recover, it's gonna be slow. And
that's right. So that's what we were talking about. We just had fun. Well, I did right before we came out here. We were talking about this a little bit already, but this is what I wanted to bring up. Do you think that crypto is dead? Like, is this just another bear market like every other bear market, or do you think that this one is like different? And instead of a super cycle, it's like a super bear cycle.
Well, I mean, no matter what, this cycle was longer than the other cycles. So whatever anyone says, this time was different in some way.
How was it longer?
They didn't follow the 4-year cycle exactly. It's been like 4.5 now. So before it was kind of like on the dot, 4 years. It was tied to the Bitcoin halving, right? It was like a certain amount of time after Bitcoin halving. So this time it didn't align with that. But I think if you look at the actual shape of the last bull market and this bull market, it's nearly identical. But to answer your question, like last time we had a chat, I was saying there's still a possibility that Trump could make easy money and that would flow into crypto. But I think at this point, even if he did that, like, okay, for example, imagine tomorrow Trump said everyone's getting $10,000 or $1,000. Like, I don't even think that could pump Bitcoin from where it's at now to 125K.
I agree. And the reason why is because everyone's tired of crypto. It's not novel anymore, like everyone has now moved on to the new right thing, which is
Clawdbot.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. So let's pivot into the Clawdbot stuff, because to be honest, like no one even wants to hear about crypto anymore, right? Like everyone's just tired of it. I think I don't know where the market's gonna go at from here. It seems like it's over. Like I think fundamentally, like it can't be over. Like it's not gonna die because it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't die.
As soon as everyone says it's dead, that's actually when you should buy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, none of us have any money left because we've been saying it's going to pump, and it hasn't. We lost all our money. But now if someone enters with a, say, 2 billion position now, is way smarter than when you first got in. Well, I don't know if it's smarter, but way more likely to succeed.
Well, I still think price-wise, I still think we're going to go down just a little bit. Right? Like I said, I'm eyeballing like at this point 69K for Bitcoin just for the memes.
Let's just max pain, yeah.
But but I think it's going to go down there. So, like people just still, even after all these liquidations, usually people are rushing in to buy because like, oh my God, it's so cheap. All the people get liquidated. Like, we're clearing all the leverage. But no one's saying that. Nobody's even talking about crypto, I feel like, except for all of the founders and like leaders going after each other. Like you have OKX founder or CEO going after CZ. You have Hasib from Dragonfly Capital basically is governing streets. Yeah, trying to defend CZ and everything.
I do see a lot of the like OG tech people. Like, for example, I was listening to a podcast with Kathy Woods yesterday. And so I think a lot of the OG tech people, they're still believers in Bitcoin, but I don't think maybe they have such large positions open as they did before now. But I think everyone, like, I still believe, and I think you still believe that crypto will one day be a strong source of value, or sorry, a strong store of value. But I just think maybe not for the near future, maybe a year, 2 years.
I think I personally believe that like retail is just disinterested in it now, which is why we just don't have anyone buying, right? Because if retail is not buying, then of course institutions aren't going to buy, because institutions can see the retail flow, right? So they're not stupid. They know when people are buying, and the momentum is there, and therefore they should like try to front run all of the late retail that are coming after, right? But so really what I'm trying to do now in terms of like trading is analyze like where is the retail at, where are they going? And instead of coming to crypto or investing in crypto to make money, they're all investing and FOMOing into gold, silver, which is now done.
Okay, so that's what I was about to say just now, right? It's like, okay, so I agree. Retail is not in crypto anymore. They are in gold, but gold also tops,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's done. I think
So
gold is dead.
then where does it cycle into, you know? I mean,
Well,
all their got money.
so that's where I was getting into, right? So gold, I think it's gonna go into stocks, because essentially all the young retail that were following into crypto before now has a taste of TradFi.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna go into stocks, and primarily the like blue chip safe haven. We know it's not a scam AI projects, right? I'm talking about like Nvidia and OpenAI, whatever, right? Like all these different stuff. Um, so I think that they're gonna invest into these sort of things in TradFi. And instead of trying to make money, because everyone rushed into crypto to try to make it rich,
Yeah,
right?
speculation.
But in reality, they all just ended up getting scammed, right? By like professional scammers or just whatever, this PvP trenches stuff. But what I think is happening now is that all the retail that were interested in that sort of stuff, instead of pivoting back into crypto and investing, which they already are matured and realize the majority of it is a scam, they got basically drained too much. I think they're going to pivot over to AI and this Clawdbot stuff.
Yeah.
And essentially, we're going to see a instead of everyone fumbling into crypto to try to make a bunch of money, instead they're fumbling into AI and Clawdbot and this and that, because they think that okay, if they set up these bots, they're gonna be able to vibe trade an entire business. Like that one guy, that AI and influencer that said, $1 million businesses with just one person running the show. And I think that we are getting into that sort of future. I think it's a little bit too much FOMO now. It's a little bit too um, overhype at the moment, because all of the retail that are coming in trying to run Clawdbot, trying to run Claude code, et cetera, don't realize how expensive it is. It's burning tokens like crazy. It's not like, okay, you just set something up with $200 or $100 a month and and you're good. You're most likely going to be spending at 1,000, especially if you're a power user. If you're a power user, you're talking about like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, all the way up to like $6,000 a month just to start running your Clawdbot, or to maintain your Clawdbot.
Yeah.
Most people can't do that. Most retail cannot afford to spend $6,000 a month to have an agentic system to run everything. So I feel like okay, right now all the FOMO and all the attention is there, and people are still trying to do it, and there are going to be people that make successful things out of it, but it's gonna be a big entry barrier, and then we're gonna see a lot more people pivot back to crypto, pivot back to like TradFi, pivot back to investing instead of building to make money.
Okay.
And yeah, anyways, I kind of lost my train of thought with setting up this stuff, so I'll just let you.
I mean, okay, so one final crypto thing before we move on to this. Last year there was this agentic kind of bubble that happened in crypto, where it started with
But that was BS, like AI XBT and stuff.
what was the ELIZA? So ELIZA was an open source framework that essentially allowed you to connect an AI agent to a Twitter account, and then it was able to also connect it to a wallet. And so there was this whole kind of bubble that was around this narrative, was like, oh, these agents can make me money, right? And I kind of feel like Clawdbot is the next wave of that type of thought. But the thing is that Clawdbot doesn't have this crypto element. So the last thing I want to say on crypto is it may be that the next wave of crypto hype is this recombination of Clawdbot with some sort of, crypto rails. And it's not like before there was like, you make your agent on Twitter and it's like a meme coin, people buy your meme coin and that's how you make money. But perhaps Clawdbot, like you said, people are running them as almost like employees. It could be that you're paying for your API credits in crypto. It could be that
Oh, that's Eric Voorhees is doing that.
well, I mean, so do you know X402? It's by Coinbase. So
No.
X42 is pretty, or 402. So 42 is interesting because 42 is 404, right? Like error code 44. So that these these codes, these like browser codes have been around for 20 years. And 402 was actually made by Mark Andreessen, creator of Netscape. He made 402 as a payments code. That's the idea being if a person goes to this website and it finds this 402 code, you have to make a payment to access. And so this code has been around for a long time, but no one used it. And so then Coinbase picked this up and said, okay, now is the time that we use this 402 code because of agents. So now there's a thing called X402. And essentially you type in the website and before you can access it, it will connect your MetaMask and take a payment out. So that said, I think perhaps there's some combination of, Eliza back in the day and Clawdbot now and this X402 where all these things start to combine. So if you have employees, you don't need to give them access to your credit card or, if they're making money for you, that doesn't go into like your Stripe account. It goes directly into your crypto account. So that's the last thing I was saying crypto is that there may be this kind of next wave where these things all converge. And people have said that this is happening for a while. And maybe Clawdbot is the first kind of steps into that direction.
I mean, I agree, but this also ties into what I was saying, where like people are gonna come back into investing for money, but instead of investing blindly, like in stupid, like I should stop cursing. Instead of investing blindly in dumb things like meme coins, which I think was like the dumbest bubble ever, or like NFTs or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that they're gonna start investing into these AI agent builders, these AI agents that it's going to be interesting to see if somebody can create a method, maybe like a standard where if these agents build using this standard, it makes it their project or whatever unruggable, right? Like an ethical standard for these agents. So that way it basically eliminates the scammer profiles, like the scammer. It takes away the human capabilities to rug these people, right? So right now, what we have, and I think it's gonna be like a fusion of technologies, crypto and these AI agents, these Clawdbot bots that are going to be developing stuff that people will start to FOMO into and sort of make utility great again scenario. But right now, we're already seeing a fusion of Clawdbot and crypto merge because I think you've heard about Moltbot, I'm assuming, right? They're like.
Well, Clawdbot, as I say, Clawdbot is Moltbot. There was a lawsuit between the guy that created Clawdbot and Claude sued Clawdbot. So we had to rename it Moltbot.
I'm sorry, Moltbook.
Where they're making,
Yeah. Sorry,
like
that was
Reddit, right?
yeah. And by the way, it's OpenClaw now. In case,
Yeah, so one more time, right? Well, do you know why, right? Like the whole scammer. So the reason why, it went from Clawdbot to Moltbot. And in that moment that happened, the GitHub repository opened up. And so someone snagged it.
and they snagged it. Yeah,
And they did a meme rug coin, like made a.
yeah. I saw that. I mean, of course,
Which is
dude.
kind of predictable, right?
Anyways, so
Yeah, Moltbook.
Moltbook is what I meant. So so people develop this like Moltbook thing, and there's already nefarious actors on Moltbook. I mean, it's the whole like Clawdbot hype reminds me of crypto 2017. Right, like this like whole new wave of hype of retail users coming in and scammers along out there, right? But Moltbook allows, for those viewers that don't know, Moltbook is like a Facebook for these Clawdbot.
Reddit, where you get karma.
Yeah, even though they call it Moltbook, it's supposed to be like Facebook, but it's Reddit.
True, yeah.
But it's like Reddit. Yeah. But it's essentially like this Reddit for these AI agents, and people can post under whatever name or whatever. It's kind of like Reddit, Facebook, and 4chan, because in the sense the accounts that are posting can put any name, so it's kind of like anonymous, right? And someone was going around on Moltbook, doing script injections onto a bunch of other bots that they were like interacting with and stuff, and trying to like hack them and everything. And And so another like developer created a new like token standard, an NFT standard. It's called like I think it's like Ethereum dash 80082 or something like that. But the standard basically it creates NFTs that act as sort of like passports for the bots. So it mints a bot, puts it under like its own wallet or whatever, and that NFT, I don't know if it's soulbound token, it should be a soulbound token, but that NFT, whoever's holding it, they know that if the name is Poo Poo Pants and it has this NFT and it makes this post, then that's him. Then if somebody else comes out and names their Clawdbot or signs up with their Clawdbot called Poo Poo Pants and tries to pretend to be him, they can see that it doesn't have that same NFT. Right? So like when one of the bots are talking to this guy, someone comes into the conversation and tries to impersonate the other character, like they can't do that anymore.
And this goes back to what I was saying before. It's like crypto is the perfect rails for agents to interact, so not just for payments, but through authentication, like you said.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's natural, but it also seems like perhaps another money grab. I hope it is the case where it's like they're using technology for technology's sake. But at the same time, knowing crypto, being here for so long, people that make these new standards, like they're gonna try to make their money somehow.
Well, I think
you know,
if I remember, I mean, so already like thousands of bots have integrated that. I'm pretty sure that thing was like open source, and I don't think there's any money stuff involved with
not
it.
yet, where people will try to make money from it.
Well, if there's already an alternative that is
Like,
free,
I mean, actually,
why would they do another one?
you know, ERC 404, where it was like a fractionalized fractionalized NFT, where it's like, for example, in your situation, you can make an agent, you could have your NFT, but then people buy chunks of that NFT and then get like rev share from it, you know? So it's just like there are ways to make money from this.
Well, yeah. So what I was thinking, honestly, for like this NFT thing, is okay. Right now, it's being used as like essentially like a passport, like a user ID that people that can stay together. But what people can do, and something that I was actually thinking of building, is essentially create a database, or at least make another NFT thing or whatever, where you I don't know, you spend like $10 or whatever to mint out this NFT, and then that creates this database. But the money that is generated from minting out these NFTs and stuff is used to like develop and maintain like a database,
Yeah.
which people can then, or the bots can then search for one another in, and sort of create like their own social media profiles, blah blah, blah, sort of kind of like GitHub or a Twitter, right? And then they can see, so it can start creating like this sort of social score of like developers, if they're good, if they're bad, this karma essentially, and but also have their identity authorized and verified, and it'll essentially become, because there's a database and you can search anyone and everything, it'll essentially become sort of like a yellow pages, right? Like a telephone book where you can find out who's who from anywhere. I think that would be really, really cool and useful for
And these are
these
ways to
projects.
monetize it, but I still feel like I haven't heard anyone really making a lot of money or any money from running one of these agents. Like one use case would be, okay, I give my Clawbot access to my crypto portfolio and it does research and trades for me. I could hypothetically see that making money. But outside of that, like, I mean, for example, maybe a podcast, you can automate a podcast, but people actually watching those podcasts. But the question is like, do they actually make money?
It's too early. It's way too early.
They said that on crypto too, right? I'm like, oh, crypto should make you money, but it's not. You know?
So I mean, I made a lot of money off that.
Still coming for me. But
Like, so the I think it's way too early, right? So Clawdbot has been out for like 3 months, maybe even less.
then it sucks. That version 2, version 3 might be better. Yeah.
I don't think it sucks, but that's like it's very, very early, super, super early, right?
Also, sorry, before we move on, I'm just kind of curious because I think it does kind of suck. It runs like, what is the difference between say Clawbot and just
Claude Code.
well, there's one was like the Claude browser where essentially it took control of your browser and it could like make calendar events and everything from your browser. And so to me, Clawbot is the same thing, right? It has access to all your stuff and it just does stuff for you.
No. Claudebot, no, Claude Code, Claude Browser. What? No. So look, so the main thing that basically separates Claudebot from all of these other things like Claude Code, which can do essentially, if you attach Telegram to it,
Yeah.
or like
But you can attach Telegram to
you can, yeah. If you attach like messaging things like Telegram or Discord to Claude Code, and you can interact with it through that, mobile, wherever, when you're on the go, then like 99% of people that actually are using it could essentially just do that.
Yeah, it's just Clawdbot's running 24/7. That's the only difference, right?
But yes, so well, yes, and proactivity. So one of the main things that makes Clawdbot unique compared to Claude Code is that Clawdbot is designed in a way to be more proactive by running 24/7 on your hosting on your computer and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So like a lot of people will say, oh, like while I'm sleeping or while I do this or whatever, make sure you do this and this. And then you can create like multiple agent systems where it's like talking to each other and say, look, one of these agents is the idea guy. He'll talk to the research agent that goes out and researches everything and blah, blah, and then bounce ideas off each other.
It's a mixture of experts,
And then
have that already too, right?
yeah, and then afterwards they come up with an idea, and then you have a developer that actually did codes and developed this idea all while you're sleeping. So they're essentially 24-hour staff that are doing everything for you while you're sleeping. Claude Code requires you to input commands and approve things and everything. So it can do everything that Clawdbot does, but it's not proactive.
Okay, so then I'm still trying to figure out, are there actually people out there making money from it? And what are they doing to make that money?
I think it's a little bit too early because literally the big wave of people that came in is not even a week old, right? It's only like essentially 4 or 5 days old since the big wave of people came on. But but if but look at Moltbook as an example, right? Moltbook already had tons of users and it was vibe coded with Clawdbot. And there's even today came out a massive security risk showing that it didn't have like security where it allowed all of the APIs of the different bots is just like fully exposed there.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone on Moltbook that
Got lots of security risks, yeah.
lots of
Which is
security
why I haven't
risks.
used it personally, because like I don't even give my other coding agents access to my stuff. I'd
Right.
rather keep that kind of gated. But I do also understand the idea where it's like, yeah, if you have an employee, you make a Telegram account for it, you make all these accounts, and then it has access to those. Um, I don't know. I mean, I use coding tools every day, right? And I have there's a thing. Okay, so before Clawdbot, there was also the Ralph Wiggum plugin. Do you know what the Ralph Wiggum is?
Well, wasn't
So
Clawdbot was branded Ralph before rebrand.
So these are two different things, but they're very similar. I think Ralph came before Clawdbot because they kind of naturally progress together. So Ralph Wiggum was a plugin to Claude Code, and all it really did is it made it an endless loop until it finished. So Clawdbot never finishes, right? The whole point is it's just running all the time. Whereas, like you said, agents, they would finish their task, a way for you to tell it to do the next thing. Whereas Ralph Wiggum would essentially, you'd give it like a higher level task, like I want to make money.
But who made Ralph?
I don't know. It's a different, not the same developer.
Are you sure? Because I read somewhere that Ralph was Clawdbot before it rebranded to Clawdbot.
Perhaps. I mean, I was looking into Ralph and I saw there's an extension that plugs into Claude Code. But it could be that the same guy moved it and developed it into Clawdbot.
Okay.
But I just bring it up because like I tried Ralph, Ralph coding, and it's interesting. But the problem with Ralph coding is that like say for example, so I'm a developer. People pay me to build things for them. It's like if I was going to pay someone to build a house, I wouldn't just want some random house. Like, hey, pay me to build a house. And they give me this house. I'm like, here you go. Here's your house. I want to specify. I want like 4 bathrooms. I want it to be, have blue walls. I want it to, I'd want to specify exactly what I'm getting here.
I wonder if you could just go like that.
That's probably easier, yeah. So Ralph coding was able to say, for example, I want a client's paying me to build a web game or something. Okay, Ralph coding / Clawdbot could build that, but I would be very surprised if it could build it how I want it because it doesn't know what I want. It would have to essentially assume these things like, oh, he wants a Pokemon game or something. And so, anyways, to summarize this conversation, it's like I can see the value in something like Ralph coding, where it's like I type in a prompt, I click go, and after a couple hours, everything is done and it's perfect. But I also see the value in proactively working with these agents because then the end result is actually what you want and what you need. It's kind of a hybrid of what you want and what they've done, So I'm not trying to take away from Clawdbot, but there's a place for both, I think.
So one of the other unique things about Clawdbot, and is that it has memory storage and it learns based off of your interactions with it, more so than Claude Code. And I'm assuming Ralph Wiggum. I'm not sure. I haven't really researched that. But because it has this like essentially brain that's hosted locally or like on AWS or whatever, but it has this brain that it reverts back to and like pulls that information. it can learn based off of your past projects, based off of what you told it, off your past experiences with it, et cetera, what you like,
Yeah, that's nice.
what you don't like. So it's so while it's building for you, it's also learning and building itself, which is something that I think is more unique that Claude Code doesn't necessarily have, because Claude Code is like, it's a robot.
Yeah.
It just does what you tell it, and you interact with it how you like to interact with it, right? And that's it. That's how it works.
Look at this again. People pay me to build things. So let's hypothetically say I don't build anything anymore. I have a Clawdbot. I could see the situation where, because for example, if I build something, I give it to the client. Oftentimes they will point out a bunch of stuff they want to change, and then
Yeah.
I'll go and fix it. I could see in the situation where it's like I would have this automated through Clawdbot, where it's like the client is talking to Clawdbot, telling Clawdbot what it wants. It builds it and sends it back. The client checks it and then gives feedback, and then Clawdbot and implements that.
Mhm.
'Cause that's kind of how I do it now. It's like I'll talk to the client. I will then figure out what he wants. I will then work with the AI agent to build what he says and come back, you know?
Yeah, so in this sense, like, you're essentially a project manager. So instead of you focusing on a bunch of code and stuff, you focus on the sales. Actually, you can actually get a Claude that opens up the leads, and you close the sales. But you're more focused on sales and then managing the Claudbot sort of developer manager,
Mhm.
right? Because the code that they spit out, I guess Claude Code is probably better. Right now I'm running on Codex, which is not as good, but the code that it spits out, it's pretty decent at vibe coding, but it's not amazing. Like, you're not gonna get a massively good product, not especially not in the very beginning with it. But like, for example, I'm having
Clawdbot, you can choose the model that you're running on, right?
yeah. But I'm saying, like with the vibe coding of Claudbot to like develop something for you is going to be pretty basic. Like, it's going to require a lot of fine tuning for you to actually get something nice. Because even my dashboard that I made, the second brain dashboard that I'm making for it, it spat out. No, I told it to like make the code. It did it really fast. Did it in like, I don't know, like 10 minutes or something, and probably even shorter than that. I think like 10 seconds. But but when you run everything, I mean, it's just like bare bones basic. It looks really ugly. You still have to go in. Those are some bugs and stuff. You still have to go in. You have to make a bunch of revisions.
Work with it.
Yeah,
That's the
you have to walk
same as
through.
what I do already. I mean, that's literally how I use, like, for example, right now I use Cursor because I'm used to Cursor. I will go into Cursor. I will spend a lot of time making a design document, which outlines all the colors, all the sizes, all the shapes, all the fonts, all the flows, all the APIs, outline as much as I can at first and have it all in a single document. I'll give that to Cursor. And in Cursor, you select. I could be using, Opus or whatever I want. Whatever, Opus is more expensive. I can use a cheaper one, or more expensive one, whatever. So I feed that document in and I say go. And then about 5 to 10 minutes later, I'll come back and it'll be like, hey, here's your first draft. And then I'll go through and I'll check everything exactly what you just said. So in this situation, like, I almost wouldn't want it to automate that entire process because I want to be part of that loop. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to wait until tomorrow morning and find out what it built me was like way off track.
But look, what I mean, to do something simple like that, you don't have to wait all morning, right? Like, that can just be done, and like, just like you're using Cursor.
In that situation, it's just a Cursor.
But here's something that Cursor cannot do that Claudbot can do, right? You can prompt Claudbot to say, hey, use the research agent that goes live at 11 p.m. At 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. you go to sleep. At that time, it turns on, it triggers a heartbeat to which is like, it tells it a command basically that tells it to do a certain action or whatever. And that heartbeat command will say like, it has 5 hours to go do analysis on the last 24 hours on Twitter, see everything that's trending, that's hot, that's, whatever, and then see like what people are complaining about or whatever, and then come up with, maybe the rest of the agentic team come up with an idea of um an idea that could fix some sort of problem, right? Like, let's say people are complaining about the security um of Mopebook, right? So then it'll come out with, so it'll read that and maybe come out, okay, there's a problem with people of security on Mopebook, and then it discusses with one, bounce ideas with one another,
Okay.
and then says, okay, we're gonna come out with a skill, a security skill, that if people download this, it'll patch all of the stuff that is at risk at Mopebook or something like that.
I mean, this is
And then
something I
and
do
then
physically already.
and then it'll do, you can say, okay, just go ahead and execute the MVP, just code out the MVP and do that 10 more times with multiple different ideas, whatever ideas that they could find. And then in the morning, give you, when you wake up at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever, spit out a brief report of all of the different MVPs that they coded, all of the different ideas, the docs, the readmes, all that stuff, so that when you're having your morning coffee, you sit down and you can see the different ideas, how good they coded, and then you say, okay, you know what? These throw away. This one's good. Let's go ahead and continue building this one and progress on this one. Claude Code and definitely Cursor cannot do that.
I mean, you're talking about the automation part of it was like having, for example, what you just described, I do already. Like I would go,
Yeah, but this is why you're sleeping. You're not doing shit while you're
so it's saying like it's nice to have that automated. I would have to have the forethought to actually tell it to do these things. And once I've told it to do these things, then it would actually run through this loop. So I can see the value in that. Though at the same time, like I just wonder if it would actually save me time at the end of the day. Like if I had spent an hour doing this research myself and actually creating this document and said go, I would end up in the same place as what you just described.
I think that in an hour, an AI will definitely do way more and better research than you.
Well, no, I'm saying I would use AI in a directed means. So I would do the research myself. I would, for example, I go to Grok, I do, same sort of thing. I'll say, hey, do a scan of the
Okay, for your sake,
repos.
so I think that the best way to see to test this is to see with your own command prompts how much time would it save you for AI to go do all of this while you're awake and making these prompts, for it to go and develop everything while you're awake. See how much time you would save from prompting it while you're awake and doing all of this stuff versus when you're sleeping. Because if you can do all of this stuff in 1 hour versus when you're sleeping, then essentially you're saving 1 hour every day.
Mm. Yeah, I still feel like there's, so I get it. I'm not trying to disagree with you. I just feel like there's okay, this is this scenario where it's doing the research, is popping out, say 10 projects, and I choose the one I want. I would then have to go through that project and review it and fine tune it. I don't have to. I mean, I could just like choose the best one and then release it to the world. And so this is kind of saying this, like this is one environment where it's like, okay, whatever pops out, has its own value in its own way. And I didn't have any input, but it's high value, like Moltbook. Maybe the guy didn't even plan to do it. It just popped out. I was like, oh, cool, release it. So there's a world where that's really important. Like kind of spontaneous. It's like having an employee. It's like, hey, I give you money, you go do what you think makes me money. Yeah. But there's also another world where it's like people want a specific thing done, and that specific thing done, I find it hard to like, again, Moltbook could contact the client without me having to send the message. It gets the feedback from the client and then implements it. So there's a way to automate that. But I don't know. I mean, I think perhaps my problem here is it's just not bringing me enough value compared to what I'm already doing yet. I can see later it may.
Well, I think that value aspect and most importantly the cost to value aspect is the biggest, I wouldn't say flaw, but the biggest problem that Clawdbot has right now, because you're a developer, so you can just use Claude Code, you can use Cursor, and you know exactly what you want, you know how to deal with it. You're an experienced AI connoisseur user, right? So you already know what you want. So you just doing everything by yourself would save a lot more money versus installing Clawdbot and letting it run on its own. However, a retail user that doesn't know that stuff, will just tell Clawdbot, hey, figure it out, and it'll go figure it out. Without them having to mess with it for so much, right? So Clawdbot right now burns a lot of tokens. So that's the main thing that's gonna price a lot of retail out. But I think but the easeability of using it is what's gonna bring a lot of new builders in.
Well, that's why a lot of people are buying these MacBook or Mac Minis, right? Because Mac Minis can run a local LLM, and then they can hypothetically not have to pay for API credits.
You need a really good graphics. I mean, I don't know, the Kiwi stuff I need to try out, but I tried Quen 2.5 or 2.0 or whatever, 7D, and it was
really
terrible.
Good at running LLMs. They have the graphics card. They have essentially, it comes down to the amount of RAM on the device. If you have like 54 gigs of RAM, you can run an LLM quite efficiently. Even with
but the GPU is better.
GPUs has the VRAM, right? So
Yeah.
there's RAM on the GPU, but the VRAM acts as a substitute for the RAM itself.
Correct.
And so if you have, say, 16 gigabytes of RAM, but then your graphics card has like 128 gigs, it will just use that instead of your onboard RAM.
Correct. But the unless I'm mistaken, it's still better, is more efficient to use the GPU than it is
It's on
RAM.
yeah on the if there's RAM on the GPU, it doesn't have to transition from the GPU onto the RAM.
Because like I ran the 7B on my PC, the Quen 2.0 7B coding LLM, hosted it live on my PC. And the 7B ran, I mean, it was faster than Codex. Like in terms of replying, it was very, very fast
on your local environment.
on my local environment.
Okay.
But it was way dumber for coding. It was stupid. But the 14B, the one that's twice the size, I mean, that was really slow.
Yeah.
It was talking to me like, it was just very, very slow.
What probably happened is it's hitting like it's getting throttles essentially. Where, so for example, I had the same issue. I was running.
It had to offload over to my regular RAM,
and that process is really, really slow. And so again, so just get back to the Clawdbot thing. It is possible. So I think you're right. I think the major constraint here is the cost of these API tokens or these LLM tokens, and this is gonna prevent a lot of people from using these systems. So I think there's going to be a large push towards these local LLMs, making them more and more efficient. And so we're talking about Kimi 2.5. So that's what they did. They had this, actually Kimi 2.5 now in terms of coding is ranked one of the best, and it's open source. Right now, I know they're going to be replaced by OpenAI or whatever next week. But currently as we speak, there's an open source.
What's the system requirements on it? I had to try it out.
So that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if they did this because of Clawdbot, but they realized people want to run these things locally. They don't want to run them on servers. And so this newest version of Kimi 2.5, they allowed, essentially you can, instead of using, so there's the RAM on your device, there's the RAM on the graphics card. Kimi 2.5 is optimized for running on the SSD. So it's much easier. If you have like a 1 terabyte SSD, it's much more likely you're going to have 1 terabyte SSD than 1 terabyte of RAM, because RAM is too expensive, right? So it's not as efficient as using RAM or the graphics card, but it's able to offload that onto the solid state. So anyways, my point being is like there are these models that are becoming more and more efficient for local environments. Even laptops or even crappy laptops like mine, you can run these LLMs. And I think that if we are moving towards this world of like agentic staff, Clawdbot, the world of Clawdbots, I think having these local LLMs are going to become more and more valuable because it's saving you thousands of dollars per month. So there's that strong cost incentive.
It's saving you money, but at the same time, it costs a lot of money to build out these rigs, right? So like one of the cool things that I see a lot of people running, not a lot of people, but I see some people running Clawdbot on, is running Claude code locally on DGX, the like little AI supercomputer by Nvidia, like the new graphics card thing for that. It's like these tiny little things. It's like basically a Mac Mini, but it has like a specialized new graphics card by Nvidia that is specifically for AI.
I mean, those are even better if you have those. Yeah,
that's $3,000. I want to try that.
Yeah.
But still, like,
I'm saying, it's like,
but it's $3,000, and it's not even meant to like play games. You know what I mean? It's specifically meant for these sort of things.
But I think these are, again, I totally agree. If you can pay $3,000 for that, or pay $1,000 for the Mac Mini, or even use a laptop like I'm doing, my argument is that give it 6 months. People are the creators of these models are going to be pushing towards this local environment.
Oh, for sure.
Because again, Clawdbot makes it very, very valuable to have this running locally. You don't have to pay for credits. And so it's not there yet today, but I can see these models moving in that direction.
I think we're gonna. It's just like we have PC. Everyone has a PC at home.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's gonna have this AI storage unit at home, right? Locally hosted AI storage unit, just like everyone has a PC.
Yep.
Right, and then like, you might think, okay, I forgot my phone's actually recording. You might think, okay, like maybe everyone's gonna have an AI in their pocket, and yes, in a sense, but I feel like the phone is just gonna connect to the home unit.
Well, I have an AI that can run on my phone currently, so that's even possible, but it's just so slow, it's not usable.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's BS because it's not usable. It's not.
I have it in case there's like some sort of apocalypse, and then I have the world's information in my device.
Yeah, if there's an apocalypse, electricity is gonna go down. But hey, you got.
Well, I have a solar LLM.
But you have a solar battery.
I do, just in case. What was I gonna say? So I agree at this point. So for example, like I said, I was running the Kimi 2.5. It works on my laptop. My laptop's not even that amazing. I have a RTX 4050, which is not that amazing. It's kind of a standard graphics card. It would run on that.
Yeah, 4050.
I do the laptop version.
Oh, oh yeah, different.
But the thing is, Kimi 2.5 on my laptop was running, but it was like 1 word every second, and that's not enough when you're trying to code.
So I'll run it on my home PC and see if it's any
If
different.
you're using on a desktop, again, so this Kimi 2.5 on your desktop, if you have a decent graphics card, would be usable. And again, it's a cutting edge model. I was using Mistral 2, and there's a small version of that, and so that works on my laptop as well. The only problem is, like you said, that when you're putting these constraints in, you're actually reducing the quality of the code because it needs to squeeze more into that, right? And so if I use something like Cursor, right? Cursor's using Gemini 3 Pro, which can never run on anyone's computer, has to run on servers. The quality of that output is much, much higher than anything like run locally.
Cursor uses Gemini 3?
You can use any, you choose the model. So there's this trade-off between like, okay, for example, now I have a local coder I have a local free Mistral thing run on my laptop, and it's enough to change the colors on a website. It's enough to kind of change the text and automate things like that. And so for small tasks, I can do it for free now. But for bigger tasks, like if I'm going to make a Web3 game or something, I'm going to have to still pay Cursor or Gemini for access to the model.
So this Kimi one, do you know how smart and good it is and effective it is at like coding?
Yeah, so
debugging?
it was Kimi 2.5. Right now is a cutting edge coding agent, and it's open source and free.
So it's not just cutting edge LLM, but it's cutting edge coding agent, because there's a big difference between those.
So Kimi 2.5, there's kind of a lot of improvements. One of them is it has a vision model. So it specializes in front-end development. So if you want to make like a video game or a beautiful website, it is specialized. A lot of people, when they train LLMs, they will first train with the text environment, and then they'll try to train with the vision after, because that's a lot of the frameworks they have are based on text, right? But Kimi 2.5 was from the get-go trained on both text and vision at the same time. So it's really visually pleasing in terms of building a website. And on top of that, they have the agent swarm, which is what you were describing before with Clawdbot. So Kimi, when you put in a prompt, it has a bunch of different swarms, like different agents. So spin up a research agent, spin up coding agent, spin up blah 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 agent. They would all run in parallel and then combine at the end. So it's happening inside of the model itself. And again, the last most important thing for me is that they have I don't know what to call it, but they've reduced the so they have a 1 trillion parameter model, but it only activates 20 billion at a time, which means you can run it locally. Before, it would have to run all 1 trillion at the same time on the same GPU. So it's a pretty impressive model. Again, it doesn't run on a laptop, but if you have a desktop, I think it's still going to be slower than, say, like, if you do an API directly to the codecs. But it's free, and it's cutting edge. So this is what I'm saying. This was looking into it. I think that Clawdbot plus one of these local LLMs, that's the way to do it, because then you can run it 24/7.
Well, I saw a video on Twitter. Somebody connected 8 Nvidia 3090s together and was running Claude Code on it.
Yeah.
And it was running it like super fast.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like, well, one, I think it's gonna be impossible to find like 3090s now when there's Clawdbot out. I think everyone's just gonna start buying all of these up to essentially save money on.
Again, I think over time it's gonna become more efficient. So yeah, right now you need to have a 3090.
Well, because everyone's fumbling, right? So
yeah.
No, I think that like everyone complained when Nvidia said when they announced that they were gonna cut out making gaming GPUs, right? And they said they're just gonna focus 100% on AI.
Yeah.
And even I was like, why would they do that? Doesn't make much sense, blah blah blah. It's mostly just gonna be like B2B corporate. But now with Clawdbot out, now I see the future of the DGX, and like, okay, this is actually the future. They're essentially trying to be the new Apple or the new Windows, where everybody has a PC at home, right? Whether it's Mac or Windows.
They made I forgot what it was called, but they have the world model now. So like you said, they stopped making gaming GPUs and they focus on AI GPUs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they've created their own world model.
What do you mean world?
So like GTA, you're a little character running in a world.
Yeah.
So they've created a model that specializes in that type of environment that can.
Wasn't that Google?
So Google has Gemma, and so Gemma and Nvidia's world model are the same thing. So it's like a world generating model.
And you can like run around in the world, and you're like a ship, and
do whatever you want. It's like, so this is important for games. So I say because Nvidia doesn't necessarily need a games chip anymore because AI can become games, right? If you can have these world models, then that is a game. But not only that, it helps for things like if I want to build a moon base, I need to be able to simulate that in a real environment. For a coder to create that, like use like Unreal Engine and build like the moon and do all that, it's really, it's going to be cost expensive, right? You have to pay all these people. Whereas a world model can just spin it up automatically. So it's good for games. It's also good for like all these other use cases as well. So I think Nvidia focusing on AI makes a ton of sense.
By the way, you said that's another cool thing. I think that Clawdbot, it makes Clawdbot unique to all of these other LLMs like Cloud Code, is that if you have a strong enough machine, you can run locally
Yeah.
a bunch of what are they called again? Which like scenarios, right? You can do a bunch of scenarios. So while you're sleeping or whatever, proactively, blah blah blah. I can like make all of these scenarios to see and create multiple different things, and then essentially choose the best one,
Okay.
right?
Maybe it's called a swarm. I don't know. Maybe it's called a swarm where you have like many agents running all at the same time.
No. I think it was. I could have sworn it was called a scenario, but
Yeah, I don't know.
H cut it. Okay. So we cut it up there. You're supposed to see.
Well, that one's still running, right? We can just do some sort of finish.
Yeah, but that one's up and down. This one's running.
We need to finish. Like, say, okay, guys. Well, let's wrap it up there.
Yeah, I guess. All right, guys. Well, the camera cut off in that we don't know, and that means
Yeah, you can't trust your Clawdbot. Didn't charge our camera.
right. See, if we had a Clawdbot running, it would actually know and notify us. But anyways, seems like we have some technical difficulties, so we're gonna cut this short and continue on next time. So make sure you like, subscribe, all that fun junk, and we will talk back about Clawdbot, I guess next week, maybe in a few days.
Moltbot, actually.
Moltbot, OpenClaw, next time. But thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all that fun jazz. Peace.